Afternoon. Another video today. What I'm going to talk about today is why we chose Pomskys, a little bit about Pomskys, and yeah, so that's pretty much it. This video won't be seeing me just talking for 10 to 15 minutes. There will be videos of the dogs playing and you just hear my voiceover, so thankfully you don't have to see me continuously for the next 10 to 15 minutes. So I'm going to take this back to when I was a kid. I've always had dogs, but they have been bigger dogs. So I've had German Shepherds, Rottweilers, Bull Mastiffs, that type of breed of dog. But they've not really been my own. They're obviously my parents, etc, etc. But when it come to me wanting to own my own dog, and when I was an adult, I always wanted something smaller. However, I just did say that I wanted something smaller, but I've always wanted a husky. I've always loved huskies, their eyes, their personality, everything about them, and how energetic and how they're full of energy. So I was always looking online for husky puppies and just thinking how incredible and how cute they look. However, the current house that I was living in with my partner at the time, who's now my wife, when huskies grew up, the house just wasn't big enough for him or her. So on that basis, it was very, very difficult to get a husky. So how a Pomsky came about is we were on the train on our first holiday together to Croatia. So we had to get the train from where we lived at the time all the way up to Manchester, because we were flying from Manchester, because I think, if I remember rightly, it was about £400 cheaper to fly from Manchester than it was airports closer to us, so Stansted. And we were discussing getting a dog not long after coming back from Croatia. Now, I always had it in my mindset that I wanted a husky. However, as previously explained, it was just difficult in the house we were at that time to have a husky. So we were looking at husky crosses, and my partner, she quite liked the look of Pomeranians at that time, and she still does now. But we thought, could we get a dog where we could have a Pomeranian husky cross? So then we did a little bit of research, found out a little bit of information about Pomskys, their personality, that sort of thing. So we were pretty much sold on that. Upon coming from Croatia, we started to look for Pomskys quite a lot. We were looking daily, and it was quite difficult because at the time they were quite, I would say, a rarish breed. So it was difficult to get the right breeder, to get the right type of Pomsky that we initially wanted. So we inquired about a couple of Pomskys, and we had found one. So I think this was in September time, and at that time I was in the office daily. So this was three years ago, maybe. Yeah, 3 years ago. So I was in the office daily, and my partner, she was back at home, but they were talking about going into the office on a regular basis. So we got into a quite a big argument about it wasn't the right time to get a dog, because the dog would be left at home, which is completely understandable, and looking back on it now, 100% agree. So we sort of put that to the side for the moment. And then it came to about October, and I started looking again, and my partner's business, because I think COVID at that point had gotten worse, so they stopped people coming into the office. So we started looking again, and that's when we came across Ivy. So I'd been doing some research, seen Ivy online. So this breeder we came across, she was pretty good, in all honesty. So we inquired. She had to FaceTime us and check our house and garden was sufficient enough for Ivy. And then we had to go see her and her brothers and sisters the first time. Now, when we went the first time, we met Ivy and we met her puppies and everything, and we spent probably about an hour there, hour and a half, getting to know all the breeders, the dogs, the mum and dad, and the puppies. At that point, they were like, don't make a decision now, go home and think about it overnight, have a sleep, and then come back and see us. So on that, we went home, but in the car journey home, we'd already made the decision that we wanted Ivy because she essentially chose us. But then we left it a couple of days and got back in contact and said we'd like to secure Ivy and bring her home. So we had to pay the deposit. We then went and saw her a couple more times after that. So that was that. But we had to leave Ivy with the breeders for a week or two longer because we had a wedding that we had to go to, which we didn't mind too much. So when we went to the wedding, we then brought Ivy home. Now, when we brought Ivy home, she was quite shy, because like any dog would be, being taken away from their parents, the brothers and sisters. So it was, the first night was quite difficult, but because I had 3 weeks off work, essentially, I made sure the first couple of days I didn't leave Ivy's side. And then after that, she started to really come out of her shell. With her being a puppy, she was very, very playful, very yappy, and that was probably the Pomeranian and part of the Husky inside her, which we didn't mind, and it's something that both Abby and I wanted. We wanted that type of dog. Now, the good thing with, again, Pomskys they are very, very loyal. Both Ivy and Teddy are very loyal. But when we first got Ivy, she was very loyal, very obedient. But then when they start to grow up, they start to be a little bit disobedient. But again, that all depends on how we train them. But yeah, Ivy was really easy to train. One of the tricks was that we moved a pee pad close to the door almost every other day, so that she'd pee on the pee pad, and then eventually she'd go by the door, and then we put the pee pad out the door, and that's how we trained her essentially to go outside. But she was very quick in that, and even now she lets us know that she wants to go outside for the toilet. But again, that shows how her personality is and how incredible she is as a dog. So we then got Ivy vaccinated so she could go out for our first walk, which was a bit of a tough one, really, because she didn't want to go out for a walk or didn't like going out for a walk. So we had to sort of carry her, put her on the floor, that sort of thing. But after the first couple of times we took her out, she absolutely loves her walks. But again, because of the type of breed and her face colourings and her eyes, you literally couldn't you couldn't sort of go anywhere without being stopped. People asking her breed, what type of dog she is, which we don't have a problem, because again, it's another reason that why we got Ivy is because she's so different to the normal type of dogs that you see out and about. So as Ivy's growing older, I think she's probably becoming more of a princess and a bit spoiled, and that's probably my fault because I sort of mollycoddle her a little bit and sort of overprotective when it comes to her, which again, she's my first dog, so I'm not going to berate myself for doing that. But we not long went to Australia, probably about a year and a half ago now, and we took her to her breeder to stay there for a month and a half. Oh, sorry, not a month and a half, just over a month. And we saw how she got on back with her mother, and her brother was also staying there. So when we came back from Australia, it was a bit horrible to see when we got back because Ivy was by herself. She was not sulking, but she was just probably down in the dumps because she didn't have anyone to play with. So that's where it come about getting Teddy. So again, it probably took us maybe a month or two to decide to get another dog, but we thought that it was best for Ivy to get another dog. So that's where Teddy came around. Again, we did massive amounts of research on this, what it was like to have two dogs, because we were always worried how Ivy would be if we got another dog. Now, we found this breeder again. This was probably about a 2 and a bit hours drive to get Teddy. But again, we met him once. He chose us because, again, he had 3 or 4 brothers and sisters. So he came out and sort of sat with Abby. So that choice was essentially made. So again, the checks weren't as much as what we previously had for Ivy, but the breeder made sure that we had a sufficient house to look after Teddy, and the deposit was then put down for Teddy. So then we had to wait maybe a couple of weeks before we got Teddy and brought him home. Now, bringing Teddy home was quite a surreal feeling and moment, because when we brought him home, Ivy was just shocked. She didn't know what to do. She didn't really know what he was at the end of the day. And the first, I think, 2 days, she generally just wouldn't take her eye off him, sorry. So that was quite nice to see. But on that, she has basically taken the big sister role. So she's very protective of her little brother. She will tell him off. She's almost like a mother figure to Teddy. But again, we love that. Again, another reason why we wanted to get a Pomsky, because they're so like that in a pack. Now, between the two of them, Teddy can literally play all day, and he will bring you his ball and play literally all day, and doesn't get tired out. He'll go to his water and he'll go to his food, have a sort of bit of food, like a power up, and then come back and play. Whereas Ivy, she's happy to relax and pretty much sleep all day. Now, these two do love playing with each other, but obviously with Ivy being a little bit bigger than Teddy, it does get a little bit unfair with Ivy being the dominant one. She will put Teddy in his place if he goes too far. They are both very, very jealous dogs. One of them can't get attention from either of us without the other one coming in and wanting attention and getting jealous. No. I don't know if this is the same with other Pomskys, but Ivy is very fussy when it comes to her food, whereas Teddy is a gannet and he will literally eat everything. Anything you give him, he will eat it. And Ivy is very, very fussy. She'll turn her nose literally up at everything. We've tried different foods. We've tried different combinations of food, but yet again, she's still so fussy. So we have to change our food regularly so that she'll eat food for maybe a week and then get bored of it, and then we'll have to get something else, and then a week later she gets bored of that. So it's like a complete circle in how it goes about her eating her food. They are both very, very protective of us and the house. So if they hear a noise, this could be at any time of the day, during the night, it will set them off and they will start barking, which I suppose is a good thing and not a bad, and can be seen as a bad thing. But again, we don't mind that too much. They're both not aggressive dogs. They will literally, yes, they may bark and it might be quite a high-pitched bark, but they are very loving and caring. They are both very, very licky, so they'll both lick you to death. So I think I've pretty much covered everything in and around Pomskys, why we got Pomskys. So yeah, I would recommend Pomskys as a dog breed. As I previously said, just to give a sum up, they're both very loving and caring, very protective. We both made the best decision ever to get Pomskys, and we wouldn't have chosen a different dog breed. But again, these are our opinions, so So yeah, I appreciate everyone for paying attention and listening and watching. So thank you very much.